There is a place on Earth where the line between the physical and the spiritual doesn't just blur, it disappears. An island where every sunrise feels like a first creation, and every breath is filled with the scent of frangipani and sandalwood. This is Bali. Far beyond the postcards and the crowded beach clubs lies an ancient world of volcanic peaks, emerald valleys, and a culture that has remained unchanged for 1,000 years. Today, we aren't just visiting, we are immersing. From the fire-breathing mountains to the sacred water temples, join us on a journey through the island of the gods. Welcome to Bali. Bali is a diamond in the Indonesian archipelago, a small patch of land that holds the spirit of an entire nation. While Indonesia is the world's most populous Muslim, Bali stands as a unique bastion of Hindu tradition. But this isn't just any Hinduism, it is Agama Hindu Dharma, a beautiful blend of Indian philosophy, animism, and local ancestor worship. Geographically, Bali is a land of extremes. To the south, the Bukit Peninsula offers rugged limestone cliffs and world-class surf. In the centre, the volcanic spine of the island creates a microclimate of lush rainforests and cool highlands. The island's economy has transformed from a quiet agrarian society into a global tourism powerhouse. Yet, the Balinese have mastered the art of tri-hitakarana, the three causes of prosperity: harmony with God, harmony among people, and harmony with nature. As we travel across these 5,700 square kilometers, you will see how this philosophy dictates everything from the architecture of a family home to the irrigation of a rice field. In Bali, the mountains are more than just geography. They are the home of the gods. To look toward the peaks is to look toward the heavens. This is why most Balinese sleep with their heads pointing toward the mountains. The Kaja direction symbolizing purity and the divine. Towering above the clouds at 3,031 meters is Mount Agung, the island's highest point and most sacred peak. To the Balinese, this volcano is the navel of the world, the spiritual axis around which the entire universe rotates. It is believed to be a fragment of the mythical Mount Meru, brought to Bali by the first Hindu priests. When Agung erupted in 1963 and again in 2017, the locals didn't just see ash and lava, they saw a spiritual awakening. Even as the flows neared the mother temple of Bisaki, they miraculously diverted, leaving the main shrines untouched, a sign, many believe, of the mountain's protective spirit. Just a short distance away, the landscape shifts into the dramatic Kintamani Highland. Here we find Mount Bacha, while Agung is the silent, stoic king. Bacha is the restless spirit. It sits within a massive double-rimmed caldera that spans 13 kilometers, a remnant of a prehistoric eruption so cataclysmic it reshaped the entire Indonesian archipelago. For travelers, the journey to Batta begins in the pitch black of 3 a.m. In a silent procession of headlamps, you trek through volcanic ash and tangled forest. As you reach the summit at 1717 meters, the reward is a celestial theatre. To your left, the sun breaks over the horizon of the Lombok Strait. Below, the vast Lake Bacha glows like a sapphire. This crescent-shaped lake is the goddess of the lake, providing the lifeblood for the island's complex irrigation system. Even today, you can see steam hissing from the yellow, tinged volcanic vents near the summit. a reminder that the earth beneath your feet is very much alive. You can even boil an egg in these natural steam fissures for a volcanic breakfast. But the mountains aren't just about the peaks. They are about the Munduk Highlands and the Bedugul region, where the air is crisp and smells of hydrangea and cloves. These mountains act as giant water towers, capturing the monsoon clouds and filtering the mist into the rivers that feed every single rice terrace on the island. Living in the shadow of these giants requires a unique kind of resilience. It is a life lived in a constant cycle of creation and destruction, where the same fire that threatens to destroy a village is the very thing that provides the rich, fertile soil that allows Bali to bloom. Descending from the volcanic highlands, we enter a valley where the air feels thicker with the scent of incense and damp stone. This is Ubud. To understand this place, you have to go back to the 8th century, to a legend of a distant light. The story goes that a Javanese priest named Arsai Markandeya followed a mystical glow across the sea to Bali. He was drawn to the confluence of two rivers, the Was and the Serik, at a place called Kampan. At this sacred junction, he discovered a valley overflowing with medicinal herbs. He named the area Ubud, the ancient Balinese word for medicine. Today, at that exact spot stands Pura Gunung Leba, the temple of the Valley of the Hill. It sits nestled in the jungle, a moss-covered anchor for a town that would eventually become the world's spiritual sanctuary. But Ubud is also a place of shadows and protection. Nowhere is this more evident than in the sacred monkey forest sanctuary, known locally as Mandala, Susi Winarawana. Here, 3 14th century temples are guarded by over 1,000 long-tailed macaques. The Balinese believe these monkeys are more than animals. They are the spirited guardians of the Pura Dalam Agung, the great temple of death. In Balinese Hinduism, death isn't an end, but a transformation. The forest is a living laboratory of Tri-Hitakarana, where humans, spirits, and nature must coexist. As you walk the stone paths, you will see statues of the goddess Durga looking fierce and powerful, reminding us that destruction is simply the first step toward rebirth. Ubud's transformation from a remote medicinal village to an art capital began in the 1930s. The Ubud royal family, specifically Kukoda Gedi Agung Sukawati, had a vision to share Bali's beauty with the world. He invited Western artists like Walter Spies and Rudolph Bonnet to live in the palace. This meeting of East and West sparked a renaissance. Before this, Balinese art was strictly for temples. Spies and Bonnet encouraged local masters to paint scenes of daily life, the harvest, the ceremonies, the myths. This gave birth to the Pitamaha movement, ensuring that every woodcarver in Mas and every painter in Batuan became a guardian of the island's visual soul. As evening falls in Ubud, the town transforms. The silence of the rice fields is broken by the rhythmic, metallic clatter of the gamelan. You might witness the Barong dance, an eternal battle between Barong, the lion-like protector, and Rangda, the demon queen. This isn't a play with a winner. The dance always ends in a draw. Why? Because the Balinese believe that good cannot exist without evil. Harmony is not the defeat of darkness, but the balance between the two. In Ubud, you don't just see the culture. You feel the weight of 1,000 years of devotion, still vibrating in every carved stone and every offering placed on the ground. If the mountains are the head of Bali, the beaches are its feet, the point where the island meets the rest of the world. For decades, these shores have been the primary engine of Bali's development. What were once sleepy, impoverished fishing villages in the 1960s are now global hubs of luxury and sport. The beaches didn't just bring tourists, they brought the infrastructure, roads, airports, and schools that transformed Bali into Indonesia's tourism crown jewel. But more than just an economic driver, the ocean, or laut, holds a deep spiritual role. It is a place of melasti, large-scale purification ceremonies, where entire villages march to the shore to wash away the impurities of the world. Let's start where the modern Bali story began, Kuta Beach. This is the island's most important beach historically. In the 1970s, it was the K in the 3 km of the Hippie Trail, along with Kathmandu and Kabul. Today, Kuta is the place for learning to surf. Its long, sandy bottom and gentle waves make it the world's classroom for beginners. If you want a more upscale version of this vibe, you move north to Seminyak. The waves here are slightly stronger, making it great for intermediate surfing and bodyboarding, but most people come here for the atmosphere. It is the most beautiful place to see a sunset, with hundreds of colourful beanbags and umbrellas lining the sand. For those who want to swim, the west coast can be treacherous. If you are looking for crystal clear, calm waters, you must head to Nusa Dua or Sana. Nusa Dua is a manicured paradise. Its white sands are pristine, and an offshore reef acts as a natural barrier, keeping the water as still as a swimming pool. It is the preferred choice for families. Sana, on the other hand, is the old soul of Bali's beaches. It features a 5-kilometer paved boardwalk where you can walk or cycle while watching the sunrise. It is the best place for a peaceful morning dip. But for sheer, jaw-dropping beauty, we must travel to the Bukit Peninsula. Padang Padang Beach is a tiny, hidden cove accessed through a narrow rock crevice. It became famous after the movie Eat, Pray, Love. But surfers know it as the Balinese Pipeline because of its world-class hollow barrels. Nearby is Uluwatu. This isn't a beach for sunbathing. There is almost no sand at high tide. Instead, you descend through a cave into a rocky cathedral. It is a pilgrimage site for professional surfers who tackle the massive swells beneath the ancient Uluwatu temple. If you seek a different aesthetic, head to Aimed or Lavina in the north. Here, the sand is a striking volcanic black, a reminder of the island's fiery origins. Aimed is arguably the best beach for snorkeling and diving, home to a Japanese shipwreck teeming with life just meters from the shore. The role of the beaches in Bali is a dual one. They are a playground for the world and a sanctuary for the locals. Whether it is the high-octane surf of the south or the silent, starlit black sands of the north, these shores are the gateway to the Balinese soul. They remind us that the ocean is both a source of life and a force of nature, to be respected. Leaving the mainland behind, we crossed the churning waters of the Badung Strait to Nusa Penida. If Bali is a refined garden, Nusa Penida is the wild forest. For years, this island was overlooked. But today, It is home to the most iconic coastal views in all of Indonesia. We begin at the most photographed spot on the planet, Kelingking Beach. Looking down from the 200-meter cliff, the limestone headland perfectly mimics the shape of a T-Rex. The water below is a blue so bright it looks painted, but don't let the beauty fool you. The hike down is a grueling 40-minute scramble, and the currents at the bottom are some of the strongest in the region. From there, we travel to Pasir Ug, better known as Broken Beach. This isn't a place for swimming, but a masterpiece of natural engineering. Thousands of years of erosion caused a massive limestone cave to collapse, leaving behind a perfectly circular bay with a towering natural archway that allows the tide to rush in. Standing on the edge of the arch, watching the white foam of the Indian Ocean swirl into the turquoise pool below, you feel the raw power of the earth. Just a short walk away is Angel's Billabong, a natural infinity pool carved into the rock. During low tide, the water is as clear as glass, showing every detail of the emerald seafloor. But Nusa Penida is a reminder of the broken side of paradise. It is rugged, the roads are difficult, and the nature is unforgiving. It is a place that demands you put down your phone and simply marvel at the scale of the world. To walk through Bali is to walk through a prayer. Religion here is not a segment of life. It is life. The Balinese practice Agama Hindu Dharma, a faith that recognizes one supreme God, Sang Hyang Widi Wasa, manifested through the Holy Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. But what makes Bali unique is the concept of RWA Berada, the philosophy of two opposites, joy and sorrow, birth and death, the clean and the polluted. The Balinese do not try to eliminate the bad. They perform rituals to balance it with the good. This balance is physically represented in their architecture, specifically the Candi Benta or the split gateway. You see these everywhere, at temple entrances, in hotels, and even at the airport. They represent the cosmic mountain split into two, representing the duality of the universe. To pass through a gate is to leave the mundane world and enter a sacred space. Our temple journey begins at the mother temple, Pura Besaki. Perched 1,000 meters up the side of Mount Agum. This is a sprawling complex of 86 clan temples. It is the only temple open to every devotee from any caste. The architecture is a staircase to heaven. As you climb the stone steps, you pass through terrace after terrace of Meru towers, multi-roofed structures that look like pagodas. The number of roofs is always odd, ranging from 1 to 11, representing the status of the deity residing within. Besaki is the spiritual heart of the island. When it survived the 1963 eruption of Mount Agum, while villages below were destroyed, it solidified its status as a place of divine protection. We travel next to the shores of Lake Beriton to see Pura Uluwandanu Beriton. If Besaki is the mountain temple, this is the water temple. Built in 1633, it is dedicated to Dewi Danu, the goddess of the lake. Because the lake is a primary source of irrigation for central Bali, this temple is essential for the island's farmers. When the tide is high, the temple appears to float on the water's surface, mirrored perfectly by the lake. It is perhaps the most serene sight on the island, often shrouded in a thin veil of mountain mist. For those seeking internal healing, we visit Tirta Empel in the village of Manukaya. Since 962 AD, Balinese Hindus have come here to perform the Melukat, a ritual purification. The temple is built around a bubbling spring that feeds into a series of rectangular pools. Devotees and visitors alike stand under 30 different fountains, each representing a different type of cleansing, some for evil spirits, some for nightmares, and some for physical healing. The water is ice cold and crystal clear, a literal and metaphorical washing away of the world's weight. From the water, we move to the cliffs of the south, Pura Luhur Uluwatu. This is one of the 6 Sad Kahaningan, the spiritual pillars of Bali. Perched 70 meters above the crashing Indian Ocean, this temple is dedicated to the spirits of the sea. It is a masterpiece of limestone carving, guarded by a forest of monkeys. At sunset, the temple becomes the backdrop for the Kekak fire dance, where 50 men chant in a trance, like rhythm, recreating the epic of the Ramayana as the sun dips below the horizon. Finally, we reach the gates of heaven at Pura Lempiang Luhur. This is one of the oldest and most highly regarded temples in Bali. To reach the top, one must climb over 1,700 steps. A journey meant to test your spirit. The famous White Gates frame mount a gun so perfectly that it feels as though you are standing at the edge of the world. It is a reminder of the ultimate goal of Balinese spirituality, to find a clear view of the divine amidst the climb of life. Each of these temples, the mountain, the water, the spring, the cliff, and the gate, serves a specific purpose. They are the anchors that keep the island from drifting away in the tide of modern globalization. They are where the Balinese return day after day to remember who they are. While the ocean defines Bali's borders, its interior is defined by the element of water in motion. Because of Bali's volcanic topography, the island is honeycombed with deep ravines and vertical cliffs, creating a paradise of hidden cascades. These aren't just scenic spots in the Balinese tradition. Waterfalls are places of Giri Wanata, the power of the mountain water to provide life and luck. We begin in the far north, in the region of Sawan, home to the king of waterfalls. Sekampul. Reaching Sekampul is an adventure in itself. You must trek through dense jungle, crossing shallow rivers, and navigating slippery stone steps. But as the canopy opens, you are met with a sight that feels prehistoric. Sekampul is actually a cluster of 7 narrow cascades plunging 80 meters down a sheer cliff, face covered in neon green ferns and wild orchids. The sheer volume of water creates a permanent mist that cools the air by 10 degrees. And the roar is so loud it vibrates in your chest. It is, without a doubt, the most raw and powerful display of nature on the island. Further south, near Ubud, lies Tejanangan. Unlike the hidden gems of the north, Tejanangan is easily accessible and immensely popular. It is a wide, powerful drop located in a lush valley. while it can be crowded, its importance lies in its role as a social hub. Here, you can see the power of the Petani River in full force. It is the perfect spot to appreciate how the Balinese have integrated tourism with nature, with wooden swings and bamboo platforms built to give you the perfect view of the churning white water. Finally, we visit Nung Nung, located high in the mountains at nearly 900 meters above sea level. This is for the true explorer. To see Nung Nung, you must descend and eventually climb back up 509 steep stone steps. The reward is a singular, massive column of water that hits the plunge pool with such force that it creates a constant wind. It is secluded, thunderous, and intimidating. These waterfalls represent the blood of Bali, from the thundering heights of Sekampo to the quiet sanctuary of Tukad Sepang. They remind us that the island is a living, breathing organism, constantly refreshed by the rains that fall upon the sacred mountains. As we move away from the coast and the bustling hubs, the landscape begins to ripple. We enter the realm of the Subak, Balis, ancient and sophisticated irrigation system that is as much a social contract as it is a feat of engineering. To see the rice fields of Bali is to see the physical manifestation of a philosophy. The most breathtaking example of this on a grand scale is Jatiluwe. The name itself means truly marvelous, and it lives up to it. Here, over 600 hectares of rice terraces follow the natural curves of the Batu Karu mountain range. Unlike anywhere else on the island, Jatiluwe offers a sea of green that seems to go on forever. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected not just because it is beautiful, but because the Subak system here has remained unchanged since the 9th century. It is a democratic collective of farmers who share water based on a spiritual calendar. In a world of competition, The subak is a lesson in cooperation. If one farmer takes too much water, the shrines at the water's source will go dry. However, if Jatiluwai is the ocean of rice, then Tegalalang is the art gallery. Located just north of Ubud, Tegalalang offers a much more dramatic vertical perspective. Here, the valley is narrow and steep, forcing the farmers to create narrow, winding terraces that look like giant green steps carved into the earth by a master sculptor. Tegalalang is where you see the sheer ingenuity of Balinese labour. Because the slopes are so steep, almost no machinery can be used. Every stalk of rice is planted, tended, and harvested by hand. This is also where you will find the iconic coconut trees leaning over the valley, creating that quintessential postcard image of Bali. While it has become a popular spot for its famous jungle swings, the true magic of Tegalalang is found when you cross the bridge and hike to the far side of the valley, away from the cafes. There, you can hear the rhythmic clack of bamboo bird scarers and see the intricate network of small canals that move water from one level to the next, with gravity-defying precision. Walking through these fields, you meet the real Bali. You see the farmers, often in their 70s or 80s, moving with a grace and strength that comes from a lifetime of manual labour. They aren't just growing food, they are growing Dewi Shri, the rice goddess. You will notice small, ornate shrines in the middle of every field, where daily offerings are made to ensure a bountiful harvest. In the countryside, the sense of community, or banjar, is the glue of society. The Banjar is the local neighbourhood organisation that governs everything from marriage to temple ceremonies. When you see a massive procession of women carrying towers of fruit on their heads, or men building a giant bamboo Ogo Ogo statue, you are seeing the Banjar in action. There is no loneliness in the Balinese countryside. Everyone belongs to something larger than themselves. The countryside reminds us that Bali's beauty isn't a museum piece. It is a working, breathing landscape maintained by the hands of people who still believe that the land is a sacred trust. We have travelled from the smoking craters of the north to the limestone cliffs of the south. We have felt the spray of hidden waterfalls and the cool stone of thousand-year-old temples. But as our journey together concludes, what is the true Bali? Is it the luxury villas of Seminyak, the yoga shalas of Ubud, or the silent, star-filled nights of the mountains? The truth is, Bali is all of these things at once. It is a land of profound contradictions that somehow find a perfect harmony. It is a place that has faced the pressures of global tourism and the scars of natural disasters. Yet, it emerges every time with its soul intact. The secret of Bali isn't in its scenery, but in its persistence. It is the persistence of a culture that refuses to let go of its rituals. It is the persistence of a people who greet every stranger with a genuine smile, despite the changes to their island home. Perhaps the greatest lesson Bali offers the modern world is that we don't need to choose between progress and tradition. We can have high-speed internet and ancient temples. We can have global commerce and local community. We just need to find our own tri-hitakarana, our own balance with the divine, with each other, and with the earth beneath our feet. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the island of the gods. Until next time, keep exploring.